So a lot of things have been on my mind just in the last few days. I'm just going to talk about them. I know the thing with R. Kelly is has been on my mind, and it's just really weird because the more I look into the case, the more I see similarities between like his ex-wife and my sister's ex-partner George. Um, you know, I the separation. My sister was with someone for 13 years, just like R. Kelly was with someone for 12 years, 12, 13, and um, and then when my sister's child was born, he recognised that Sophie can't look after children, and she dumped him. No, he dumped her. Well, technically, she ran away. She ran away for 3 months and refused to come back. But then afterwards, he used that as an excuse to get a restraining order on her. I think she did come back one time. 3 months later, they met and they had a civilized conversation for 2 hours, and it ended up with a 5 minute fight. Not a proper fight, you know. If someone says things to wind you up or says things to annoy you, you know, you can expect a hit back. Now that this has happened with me, Sophie has hit me, but it's a, you know, yeah, you're a shit mum, whack, and then you're just like, ow. But it's not a mark, it's not anything, but at the same time, it is a hit. And yeah, I've noticed that Kelly's wife said that, you know, he hit her, but that's exactly what my George said about my sister, and it was like, you know, my sister probably did hit, and it probably did hurt, but it didn't leave a mark, it didn't leave any bruising, and and then he went on to use that one excuse as a reason as to why Sophie should not have her kids for 18 years. You know, my sister ran away for 3 months, and in his filings for divorce filings about why he should have the kids, it was that Sophie has abandoned the kids, she has left the kids, she has run away, she's not there in the kids. So he's used the 5 or 6 months, and then of course he got a restraining order to prevent her from seeing the child, prevent her from coming back. She was hoping that when the social services were noticing something wrong with her, and they were basically saying, because you've been in a mental hospital, because she ran away and George got her, called a mental hospital police and said, Sophie's gone mad, can you put her in a mental hospital? And she ended up in a mental hospital. But they said that you can only come out of this mental hospital if you agree not to go back to the flat and not see your kids. So that was how it started. And then she said, okay, I won't go back, I won't see the kids. And then she ran off to Brighton and didn't come back for 3 months. When she did come back, well, I think they saw for 1 hour and it ended up with a 5 minute fight. And then he used that as an excuse as to why he should get a restraining order on her. So he was taking small things, exaggerating it. And then he actually went on as far as much to say that he was in an abusive relationship, that Sophie was battering him and violently attacking him and stuff like this. And I know what actually, well, I don't know what actually happened, but I know my sister, and I know that she only hits people if you say things to wind them up. And I know that that's George definitely does say some things to antagonize her, and he does that to me as well. Like I'm not really that close to him, so I don't think I would ever get to hit him. But if I was living with him all the time, I couldn't do it, because he would say things to antagonize me, and I probably would hit back. You know, I've got so much anger with the whole life being so shit and people not giving a shit. The fact that I'm God, you know, I've got so much anger because of this. Like, some people say horrible things to me. You know, a slap is what they deserve, and I feel like my sister probably did hit him, but in a sort of, you fucking deserve this kind of way. And then he would take something like that and use it as an excuse. Oh, she did that to me, but I was holding the kid at the same time, and she put the kid in danger, and therefore she needs to. So Sophie tried to not see the kid for months, and he used that as an excuse as to why Sophie should not see that kid for 18 years. You know, I don't understand, George. I don't understand these people who would take things that someone has done, and then go and say, well, she has abandoned the kid for a couple of months. Now I want her to never have anything to do with the kid for 18 years, because surely that's what he is doing to Sophie is far worse than what she did. You know, she refused to see the kid for a couple of months, and he says, I'm going to refuse to let you see the kid for 18 years. That just means that what he's done to the kid is far worse, because he's refusing to let the kid see his mother, or you know, by sort of keeping the kid in his control, saying lots of bad things. Oh no, I don't, you know, he was trying to become a um, in election, there was some sort of election counselor. He was trying to become a counselor, and in his counseling statement to try and get people to vote for him, he actually stated that he has been in an abusive relationship, that that Sophie has been beating him up and that he's a survivor of a male domestic abuse thing. And I felt sick seeing that because my sister is not a violent person. If she hits, it's because you've said something to antagonize her and wind her up, and because she's autistic, she doesn't speak well, so she might hit back. But it's a deserving hit, and it's just I'm seeing links, because I'm listening to this case about R. Kelly's wife. Now I don't know the story, but she did allege that she did George that R. Kelly hit her, but she doesn't really go into details about the hit or anything like that. She just goes into the feeling that she felt of humiliation afterwards, having to dance with him and be like, why are you with him? And I guess when I first heard this story years ago, I was like, oh, I felt sorry for her. But now that I've got this story with my sister, and George trying to take this hit that Sophie did and try to pose him up as some sort of victim to try and get like an election to win, to become winning a counselling position. I think he came second. I don't think he actually won it, but he was using this domestic abuse to try and gain votes to become a counsellor. And now that I'm seeing the links between my sister's relationship and R. Kelly's relationship, R. Kelly might have said, I've got on tour, I can't be here at Christmas, I'm going on tour. And then she would use that as an excuse. So what, you're not going to be with the kids for 3 whole months? What are we going to do? And I can imagine her being in the same doing. It sounds similar to what George did to Sophie. What, you're not going to be here for 3 months, even though I was the one that kind of got you into a mental hospital, and I was the one who's been kind of getting social services involved. I understand why he would get social services involved, because I too have concerns with Sophie's ability to look after a child. But yeah, it's just it's bad on both sides. Sophie shouldn't have left, and maybe in the same thing with R. Kelly and his wife. Maybe R. Kelly was getting with lots of different girls. Maybe he was cheating on her. If you're dating someone and they cheat on you, it's a hurtful thing. It's a hurtful thing, and you want revenge, and therefore to take things like, I don't know, maybe they did. R. Kelly said that he never tied her to a bed, and she alleged that she did, and then he said on the interview that he doesn't even know what but it's a specific tie that he used. He doesn't even know what that tie is. So I don't know what the story is, but I do know that people can lie. If they don't like someone, they will happily lie about something to make themselves the case. So if R. Kelly's wife, I don't know, was hurt by him cheating on her, or him sleeping with other women, or his attitude of just being a bit controlling, like George was actually the controlling one in my sister's relationship, and my sister started getting fed up with that. Okay, I see why he needed to be controlling, because my sister's not very good at making decisions. So it's a complex situation, but at the same time, I could see why Sophie would be angry, and I could also see why R. Kelly's wife would be angry, because maybe he was being controlling and she didn't like that, and she wanted to attack him by making out allegations. And then when other people started making allegations, because I think R. Kelly was attracting people, he was attracting fans and sleeping with fans that only really didn't actually know him, but only really liked his money or his fame or stuff like that. I think that's what he would make. In the interview that she had with that coloured lady, I can't remember her name, but she was saying things like, this isn't happening to everyone else. There's loads of singers that aren't getting accused of all these things, but these singers they weren't sleeping with their fans. Not many singers and actors and famous people sleep with their fans, and I think R. Kelly was sleeping with the fans. They wanted to sleep with him, he wanted to sleep with them, but I think they wanted to sleep with him for the wrong reasons, and he wanted to sleep with them because they were offering it. So I feel like with those girls, he was attracting the wrong kind of people that only liked him for his fame and money. And when they realized that they can get fame and money by turning against him, this is why they turned against him, and this is why they wouldn't have. So I'd love to just go through that. I really want to take that interview that she did. She makes some good points, and I think R. Kelly did some things wrong too. There's a thing with the burn book, where that girl, the main character, said, I don't want to confess to the teacher. She said a rumor about how the teacher was drug pushing, and she didn't want to confess to that rumor because she thought she'd get blamed for the whole book, for all of the rumors in the book. She only made a couple of she only made that one and maybe one or two others, and the gay one. There was like 2 rumors that she made up, and she didn't want to confess to those 2 rumors because she would have taken the whole blame for the whole book. And I think R. Kelly in their interview, he didn't want to confess to being a bit controlling or confess to sleeping with girls who were underage accidentally, because he didn't want to take all the. He thought if he confessed to those two things that people would assume that he's guilty of everything, and I think maybe that was the reason why. But I think he did make a mistake in the interview because he kind of said, "No, I'm not like this." If someone, if a group of people say that you're controlling, you kind of need to say, "I'm sorry they felt that way. I'm a man. I'm the house. The owner of the house. The owner of the house makes decisions. I don't agree with this attitude, but there are plenty of guys that do believe that, and women as well. There are plenty of men and women who believe that man should be, the leader of the family, the leader of the household. He needs to make all the decisions. And well, if he was acting controlling and dominating, it's probably because he's got this stupid Christian mindset in his head, which teaches him or makes him believe that he needs to be the leader, the controlling one, that the one that makes the decisions. And so, in that interview, when the woman said, these women are saying you're controlling, he denied it. He probably should have said, you know what, I am controlling, but that's not illegal. I think he could have been a little bit smarter on some of his questions. Hence, why I'd like to go through it and just sort of kind of look at the things that he did wrong and right. But yeah, the more I think about it, I feel like the more I'm turning against his ex-wife. I wouldn't have done this 3 years ago because I wouldn't have assumed that someone could just say loads of allegations against their ex. If they were together for 12 years, you wouldn't assume that they'll just suddenly turn on their partner and start saying horrible things about them. But I've been through this experience because this is exactly what George did to my sister. I wasn't there in the relationship, but I know my sister well, and I know that she can hit, but only if antagonized. And I don't know R. Kelly. He's a guy, so if he hits, he probably hits a lot harder. But that's just his physical strength and stuff. And so yeah, I don't know. I'm not saying that the wife didn't suffer. I'm not saying that. And maybe George as well probably suffered when he realized, oh my God, my own wife can't look after her own baby. He probably went through a lot of mental trauma. I know I cried in the hospital when seeing Sophie with a child because I was like, what? Why are you not acting like a doting mother? You're acting. She kind of switches. Sometimes she just switches. One minute she can seem interested, and the next minute she switches and starts looking at her child with a look of disgust. And if you've been with someone for 12 years and they start looking at their child with a look of disgust, a brand new baby, you might be feeling hurt with your own self for not seeing something. And another thing that the wife did was she said that that he ruined all the Christmases and stuff. And then there was this time where, they wanted to sit on bench. I'm not too sure what that means, but they said, you can't do that because your daddy plays with little girls. And she said, I was so furious with R. Kelly. I was so furious. And it's just like, so someone has said that your kids can't sit on bench because the father plays with little girls, and you're going to put all the blame on R. Kelly. I mean, technically, R. Kelly didn't make that teacher say this. R. Kelly didn't make people, the public or something. It reminds me of the case of Michael Jackson. Okay, he probably did play in a fun way with young kids, and I don't know. I don't think it was sexual, but I don't know. I don't know, but it wasn't. I don't think it was as bad as the media make it out to be. I knew someone and I saw him bath a 6-year-old girl, and I thought that was a bit strange. It's like, she's 6. I think you can kind of walk away. You shouldn't really. I thought that was inappropriate, to be honest. How old was she? She was 6, or maybe she was a bit little. I'm sure she was 6. I remember feeling kind of a little bit uncomfortable with it, but at the same time, he didn't go to prison. He was a doctor, he was a neurologist surgeon, and he wouldn't go to prison. But sometimes, if someone's famous, a bunch of people can take something like that and exaggerate how pervy that is and how disgusting that is, and stuff like that. And to them, they didn't see it as wrong. And I was questioning whether it was wrong or not. Some things are questionable, and but media can just, if they want to make stories and make money out of things, then they can. And I'm sure this caused the family, the Michael Jackson family, a whole lot of problems. A lot of people saying, "Oh, your dad's play is a paedophile," and but what they say and their reaction. This is not actually the fault of the person who did the crime, because it's not even a crime. R. Kelly wasn't playing with little girls. Little girls are 12 and under. He wasn't doing that. I would say that, and most of them were 17, and one of them, according to another documentary I saw, wasn't even 17, but was just lying about 17. And when they did the dates on the questioning, and when the Home Alone video was done, it was actually turned out that she was 18 and she was only 17 half the year before August. I think she turned 18 in June, and she was 17 between January and June, and therefore, because she met him in August, she was therefore counted herself as being 17. I don't know. There was that weird story, and you kind of look into the details, and it's just like, So if someone's accusing your father of playing with little girls when really he was kind of just fucking with lots of different girls and sometimes didn't get their age, that's a complete different story, and you can't blame R. Kelly for something that someone else said, and she did in that interview, and so I just all these things just started like making me think questions about, you know is R. Kelly guilty, or is the wife guilty for not seeing things in a more realistic sense? It's not R. Kelly's fault that a lot of this stuff happened. It's people's reactions and stuff, and you only met him because of the fame that he had, and I guess no one in the 90s knew how bad fame could actually be, um, and the problems with fame. Fame is amazing if the population is great, but if the population just is stinky and makes and wants to make up shit, and there's so many shitty. I like YouTube, I really do, but there's so many shitty liars out there that just take stories. I mean, one of the girls that R. Kelly got with said that she saw R. Kelly sleep with both Aaliyah and her mother. I mean, I don't know if I believe that story. I mean, I don't know anything about her mother. I've never seen anything, but I thought Aaliyah had a really good relationship. And did she sleep with mother and daughter? I know it happens on EastEnders all the time, and I know that me and my mum do massage, and we've it was a strange relationship. But anyway, that's not now. But I don't know. I don't know this is the story, but I just know that if someone lies, you have to question everything that they say, because if they're capable of lying about one thing, then they're capable of lying about loads of things. But just because they've lied about one thing, that doesn't mean that they're lying about everything. So there's two different differences. And if R. Kelly has lied about, oh no, I didn't do that, I'm not controlling. He probably should have said, I'm sorry that these girls think that I'm controlling. I saw that as just me being the man of the house. If he would have said that, I think people would have had a very different response to him. But yes, these are all the things that are on my mind, and there's a few other things. But I just wanted to say that.